This video covers our January 2022 performance figures for our Solar PV and Tesla Powerwall 2 here in the UK, along with our Tesla Model 3 and our Renault Zoe electric usage. So stay tuned. Hi, John here and welcome. January has been a bumper month for us and I can't wait to share the figures with you. I have noticed the solar day starts earlier now at just after 8 or 10 minutes past 8 in the morning, whereas in December it was 8:25 was the earliest I recorded. The latest end of day in January was 16:30 or 4:30 p.m, whereas in December it was 15:40, so 20 to 4. Those increases in solar start and end times may not sound like a major shift when you look at daily figures. However, if over 30 days you get 15 minutes a day of extra sunshine, that's over 7 hours of extra generation time during the month. I've also seen our peak generation increase over January as well. Highest peak from our 6.34 array was 5 kilowatts even. In December, our highest was 4.9. So, at first glance, you'd think, well, that's not much of a difference. However, the biggest change is the frequency of those high peaks. December saw 6 days where we peaked over 4 kilowatts. In January, we saw 21 days where we peaked over 4 kilowatts. And that really tells you spring is on the way. Well, at least in Rushden. Let's move on to the stats, shall we, for the month. I'll bring up the graphic on screen, which you can pause and review if you want to. Gives you a complete overview of our system, size, components, all that sort of thing. It's also down in the description down below if you want to have a gander down there if you're new. So for January 2022, our south-southwest facing 6.34 kilowatt array produced a total of 330 units. Basically smashed it out of the ballpark. Previous January's pale into insignificance. 330 units is almost 3 times our December total of 112. So yeah, phenomenal. Our average daily solar generation was 11 units for the month compared to 4 in December. And if we divide our total generation figure for the period divided by the size of our array, so 330 units for the period divided by 6.4 kilowatts worth of panels, works out at 51 kilowatt hours per panel. So how do you all get on? Did you manage to get a good month too? So please drop your comments down in the, drop your totals down in the comments below and your comments down in the comments. Yeah, that's what's aptly named. Let's have a look at both arrays. Our 4 kilowatt array produced 207 units and our newer 2.34 array produced 123 units. No discernible drop across either array looking at those numbers. Their percentage contributions to the overall is spot on as we would normally expect. This chart looks at our overall contribution of the Powerwall and solar to our self-power. As you can see there, we were 43% self-powered for the month, which is obviously as expected to go up and is certainly again up against December's total. A healthy chunk of sunshine in there too, making up 13% of our total. Again, higher than the last 2 Januaries looking back at the historical data, but not quite pipping January 2019 at 17%. However, in volume terms, 2019 total just had the 4 kilowatt array, so you would have generated less overall, which actually brings us neatly onto the year-on-year chart. This sort of tells a tale, doesn't it? Towering high and proud is January 2022 at 330 units. Streets ahead of anything else. The equivalent of new car sales for EVs over ICE cars in the month of December. So yeah, really pleased with that. Hopefully that is the continuation of things to come. This chart is our Powerwall in and out, so what we were able to put into the Powerwall versus what we pulled out. Our round trip efficiency is same as December, 87%, so 500 units in and 434 units out during the month. Looking at the day-by-day chart, our house usage is shown in blue, The real high peaks there are when we charge one of the EVs. As regulars know, we run one of our glass kilns every day during the off-peak period, which adds about 6 kilowatts minimum to our daily house usage total. Sometimes when the sun is out, we'll also run a kiln during the day as well and get that second firing just purely on solar. So a free firing in effect. Red represents the energy we've pulled from the grid. The constants there are one glass kiln running cheap overnight on the cheaper electricity, and also the Tesla Powerwall 2 charging during the same period. We also heat our hot water at this time rather than using the gas boiler. So trying to reduce our gas usage, even though electricity is slightly more expensive. So we're 5.5 pence per unit of electricity at that cheap rate compared to 3.76 per unit for gas. There's not actually much usage for heating the hot water in terms of electricity usage, probably 2 units a night or sort of 14 units for the week, so sort of small change really in the big scheme of things. Solar generation is shown in yellow. It's certainly more healthy than it was in December, where it is all but lost in the day-by-day chart. 11 days where we generated less than 5 units in a day, meaning 2/3 of the month we had really good generation, and I think that's what helped us get that total. It was just sort of consistent over the course of the month. We had 12 days over 15 units of solar generation in a day, which was phenomenal. Export to the grid was low again this month, shown in orange. And I try and keep the export as low as possible so we don't get any payment measured against the amount of units that we export, like a SCG tariff or agile outgoing tariff. Therefore, for us, it makes sense to utilise as much of the generation on site rather than letting it go to the grid. Just for fullness there, we get a deemed export of 50% of what we generate on our solar panel on our 4 kilowatt array. We get 50% of that total as a deemed export, which is part of our FIT scheme. So it's not massive amounts, about £9 a quarter or something, so it won't keep us in bread or anything, but there you go. Looking at the totals, this chart has the 4 data sources that we've just looked at in the day-by-day. House usage there is perhaps the key one to focus on at 1.5 megawatts or 1,536 units versus our solar of 330. It's a 21% offset according to the Tesla app, i.e. solar produced 21% of our house energy needs. We'll look at the grid ones in a little bit more detail over the next couple of charts. So this is our daily average house usage and our average daily grid usage over the period of the months. Not surprisingly, our average daily house usage was up here, 50 units. Nice to see that a drop are down to 41 units from 43 for our pull from the grid, which is shown in red. This chart shows what we sent to the grid, so 21 units in January sent to the grid, and as I've said before, by and large that's sort of just a little bit each day, sort of 500 watts, 700 watts or so, which sort of tots up over the course of the month. This is what we pulled from the grid, so 1.2 megawatts or 1,263 units. And I can give you the pricing on that in a minute, actually how much that cost and also the gas usage for the month. So I've actually got the bills in, which is why I'm a little bit late with this video. So I shall bring that up at the end so you can see what's what. Moving on to the eddy, we did actually manage to divert some energy, excess solar into the eddy, to heat our hot water, so almost 10 kilowatt hours over the course of the month. So that brings our running total, obviously for the year, the same, 9.82. Overall, cumulative 830 there. It sort of rounds up the figures. And savings to date, £60.96 from installation date. Onto the cars. Obviously the Kona's gone now, so that went in early January. So we're now onto the Zoe. So the Zoe did 199 miles during the month and is now on 25,375. So you can see we just picked it up, and when we got it, it was just over 25,000 miles. In terms of charging at home, it cost us £2.54. We did 2 public charges in the Zoe, which were quick, short blasts just to make sure it worked, where we added 3.2 kilowatts. So yeah, that's the cars really. So I said I'd share our costs for gas and electric. This is our gas for the month of January, so 5th of January through the 29th of January, which is 25 days, 201 cubic metres of gas, total of £90, give or damn, with a unit rate of 3.58. Electricity was slightly more difficult to work out because we had electricity bill, but unfortunately it covered a massive area, 171 days from August of last year through to almost the end of January, 22nd of January. So I did get the bill, but obviously it doesn't break it down there on that summary. So what I've had to do is go through each day on the bill. It breaks that down day by day. And this is what I've worked out for January. So kilowatt hours used, total of 1,097, almost 1,100 kilowatts. Cost of £118 with the average unit rate of 11 pence. So if you add the two together, it's £200 for, or £210 for gas and electric for the month of January. So there you go. Any questions? Dive down into the comments and I'll pick those up. As ever, comment, like, share, all those good things helped my channel grow. Thank you for watching and I will see you on the next video. All right, take care. Bye.